Social value is something that every man wants, and at the same time, something that very few men ever seem to get. But what if you have high social value right now and you don't even know it? Or what if you have a little bit of social value and you want to increase it by 10 times? This video applies to people in either of these situations, and it might just change your life. At its core, social value is really just how well you are able to handle social situations. So if you have low social value, you tend to do all of the wrong things around people. And if you have high social value, you tend to come off to other people as knowing what you're doing or as being competent. Now, men with massive social value appear to be very competent around other people, but here's where it gets a little bit tricky. Many guys are actually great socially, or they have the necessary skills to be great, but they unintentionally come off as incompetent or like they don't know what they're doing. And you don't want to be this guy. Now, first up at number 1 is smooth body movements. Men who communicate high social value tend to have smooth body movements, so you'll rarely see them jerking parts of their body around, such as their head, their arms, or their eyes. Now, for those of you who don't already know, jerky body movements are actually associated with animals of prey like mice and squirrels, which are animals that frequently get eaten by other animals. Now, if you ever get the chance to watch the way that a lion moves, which is an apex predator, and compare it to the way that a squirrel moves, you'll be able to quickly see who the boss is. The same is true for humans. You don't want to be the guy who has squirrely or jerky movements. Now, next up is the second sign that a man has massive social value, and it is also one that is very subtle, and if you don't pay attention to it, you will miss it. Men who wish to demonstrate high social value are able to hold eye contact. And it is such a small, simple alteration to make to your behavior, but it has the power to completely transform your ability to communicate social value. You see, men who have low social value, low confidence, low self-esteem, and low pretty much everything else tend to have serious trouble maintaining eye contact. I'm sure most of you at some point have looked a cat in the eyes, and most of the time, cats will look you right in the eyes and hold eye contact for an eerily long amount of time. Almost as if to say, I own you and I'm the boss, not you. And ancient cultures actually associated cats with their gods and held them as sacred animals. Most people don't realize this, but the typical house cat is just a smaller, domesticated version of the same lion or apex predator that you'd find in Africa. So what can you learn from this? In the same way that a standard house cat can make a grown man feel inferior using nothing but the power of eye contact, men are able to communicate high social value to other people effectively using nothing more than the way that they look at someone or by how long they hold eye contact. Now, next up is the third sign that a man has massive social value and might not even realize it, and it's never explaining yourself. One of the major signs that a man has huge social value is that he doesn't explain himself during conversations, and especially during confrontations. Imagine you're with a group of guys and one of them pokes fun at the fact that you've been wearing the same shoes for 5 years straight. What do? Do you frantically try to explain that the reason why you've worn the same shoes for 5 years is because you haven't been able to make enough money and you still haven't found the style that you like? Or do you simply reply and tell him that you really love those shoes? Men who have low social value are usually really defensive, and they will crack under the slightest bit of pressure, and they're the ones who are constantly explaining or justifying why they say or do things to other people because they care more about what these people think of them than what they think of themselves. Put simply, during social situations, men with high social value don't need to explain themselves, period. Now, next up at number 4 is the fourth sign that a man has a massive amount of social value and it's taking up space. But here's the thing. There is a huge difference between taking up space comfortably and doing it in a way that looks unnatural. If you were to watch really confident, high-value actors and other famous men on talk shows, for example, what you'll find is that most of them take up a lot of space, but they are also able to do it comfortably. For example, if they're sitting on a couch, they might have one arm placed along the back of the couch with their legs opened wide while communicating a warm, open vibe. Taking up space is something that you have to practice over time and get comfortable with doing. And the reason many guys have trouble with it is because it requires vulnerability. When we open up our body language and keep it open for long periods of time, we're making ourselves vulnerable around other people, and this is hard for many guys to do regularly. But once you're able to do this, this is one of the best ways to communicate high social value. The next up at number 5 is the fifth sign that a man has massive social value, and it's called insertion. And this is one of those really subtle things that guys do that has a massive impact on how others perceive them. What insertion does is give a man high social value, and it is an extremely important tool for any conversation. When you observe a man with low social value during a conversation, you will notice that he frequently looks to other people for permission before he says something. Imagine a guy in a group who makes a joke and then looks at every person in the group to see if they laughed. This is called seeking approval, and it's the same as raising your hand in school to get permission from a teacher before you say something. Men with high social values say what they want, when they want, and they don't look to others for permission. Now next up is the sixth and final sign that a man has high social value and might not even know it, and it involves gossiping. Something that you will never see a man doing if he has high social value is gossiping about other people. There's nothing wrong with cracking a joke about one of your friends with one of your other friends who also knows the same guy, but it is a totally different thing to gossip and say things about somebody that you wouldn't say to their face, and especially about people you don't know. In almost every situation, gossip is born out of fear, jealousy, or anger, and is never an effective way to communicate high social value to other people. This has been 6 signs that a man has massive social value and might not even know it. So if these signs are fitting for the way that you act on a daily basis, you could have a lot of good things coming in your future. And if you guys are into money, be sure to check out my second channel, Business Secrets. And with that said, until next time, thanks for watching.